Hi everyone, it's Erkan Ali here with Gill and our extra special guest, Simon Thomas. Welcome.
Yeah,
welcome to Journey of Possibility.
Thank you very much.
How long have we been asking you to come onto the show?
Onto this show?
Yeah.
Probably a few months.
Check that, Gill. How long has it been?
well, getting on to a year, I would imagine.
Okay,
Yes,
there you go.
going on and on. But
So this must be horrible for you.
he's been putting it off. He's been putting us off. I think you're putting him off.
I'm not planned. Nothing's planned. Nothing is planned.
All that talk.
So first of all, welcome to the space, the Journey of Possibility. Jill and I love this. We love this hour and a half, just having a chance to sit and talk with collaborators.
People really well.
Yeah, get into some subjects. So you first showed up in BeCollaboration, about 3 years ago?
It was about 3 years back, yes. Jill invited me.
How many times did you have to
Well,
invite?
actually, before that, she said, you should come along and meet this friend, because we met in Harlow a couple of times. And you introduced BeCollaboration to me in your office in Harlow.
Right, yeah.
And we had a discussion there before I think I was in BeColl. And then I came along to BeColl. It was just after one of my big episodes, so my head was open to lots of things at the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it, but I just love you guys. I thought there's so much going on here that I just want to be part of this. I don't know what it is, because I needed to analyse it, you see.
Yeah, it doesn't doesn't really fit anything that would probably be, have a common understanding of, would it? I mean,
Well, pre-BeColl and pre our coaching, I was very much commercially organised. It was very BNI. There's a place for that.
yeah, sure.
But it wasn't counterbalanced with the life, well-being, wellness, who you are, being present, and that kind of exploration, which BeCollaboration gives.
Yeah.
So even though I didn't get it, I persevered.
But what I like about that is that you were quite open about it. You spent probably the best part of 6 months going, I don't really know why I'm here.
That's a good
something about
advertising
it,
slogan.
and
I
it's
don't know why I'm here.
Yeah. And it's like, but you guys seem to be onto something, and I want to be on it as well. Whatever the journey is, I want to be on the journey. But you didn't kind of sit there like some people possibly have, and sat there going, I don't get it, and I don't, and then but not saying anything. You verbalised it, and we were like, okay, let's explore, let's see.
I think you
share.
get to there's a self-consciousness that you shed over the years, and it's not now that don't give a damn what people. Quite the contrary, but it does mean that I'm not fettered with. What are people going to think of me if I actually say I don't get this when I'm in a room full of people going, This is it. I really get this. I'm part of this journey. Like that. I don't know what the journey is. I was quite happy to say I don't know, but everything ticked the right boxes from a point of view of people that were stimulating thought processes that sort of had been fallow in the past, and it was totally non-commercial, which was brilliant because most of the stuff was either sort of charitable, fun stuff that I was doing with 41 Club and Round Table, or commercial, or working with the family. This was a different sphere altogether, and it was offering something new, which made it quite exciting. Because you think, you go through life, think, oh, I've done that, blah, 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 and there's little new comes on the horizon. This just sort of started opening up doors, and it still is.
Yeah.
Did you feel at the time that you'd compartmentalised different parts of your life, and then you got to BeCollaboration and you kind of liked it, but you didn't know what box to put it in?
It was a new box. Absolutely
Yeah.
a new box.
Yeah.
So
And I think you said something earlier on, and I think you may be kind of accurate, because in the early days we kind of attracted a lot of coaches, more than probably any other one set, and that's like saying you attract a lot of web designers. They're all different, they've all got different specialists, obviously, but it was kind of the coaches really got it quickly. They kind of got because they're working on personal development, they're sharing ideas, a lot more right brain, a lot more heart driven, I'd say, a lot of coaches, and so they kind of, but you, Mr. Thomas, kind of very left brain weighted at the time, wasn't it? It was like things had to have a very logical kind of clear kind of thing, and this probably went against some of those understandings in those days. Or
Yeah, but if you've got an open mind, you can be. I can be left-brained and analytical, and actually see empirical evidence for woo-woo stuff. Does that make sense?
it does actually.
Yeah, okay,
it does. Yeah.
I do. You make my heckles rise occasionally when you go left-brained equals fear, scarcity, and competition. I don't think the two are directly equatable, but you trot the two out at the same time sometimes. I think, oh no. There's more to the story than that.
I'd like to set the record straight here. A live broadcast is I've never actually said that.
But he's in the application.
No,
just say
I'm working here.
Go back to the recording of the Novotel a few weeks back.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to find it first.
Okay, fine.
So let me clarify that. It isn't that the left brain is in fear, scarcity, competition. I've never said that.
Right.
But we are heavily conditioned into the left brain. And what that does is it gives us a sense of separation, and it also gives us like a kind of detail-driven. So what I'm saying is we're overweighted in the left.
It's not the left brain that gives us that.
No.
It's the conditioning that.
Yeah, because our education is predicated on it, and also like a lot of the left brain calculations is I'm going to spend this much money, this much time, what's my return? It's that kind of. It's doing that process.
It's logic rationalising stuff that
sometimes
cannot be rationalised.
Nothing wrong with that. No, absolutely. This is why it's kind of a paradox, isn't it? The left and right brain. It's a paradox. On one side, we want detail and we want facts. I mean, it's very past and future driven, very detail driven, and it's kind of also very separate. Whereas the right brain is a lot more connected, expansive. We're all one. Human species having this collective experience. So it's kind of like you can. Like sometimes you look at an optical illusion. We were talking about earlier. What was that thing you said earlier on?
Yanny and Laurel.
Yanny, Y-A-N-N-Y, Laurel. There's this audio recording. And if you listen to it, some people hear Yanny and other people hear Laurel. Literally.
Oh, okay.
Do you remember the dress?
Yeah. That came to mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same as that, but rather than visual, it's audio.
Yeah. So it's not like left brain is breeding fear, scarcity, competition. It's just that in this culture we're heavily left brain conditioned because the education is very left brain. The way we operate is, and you find there's a lack of empathy as well.
And in reality, we need both. We can't survive without one without the other. But it would be nice if they could be.
I think everyone's got them. It's just in different.
Yeah, that's it.
Levels.
Yeah. That's if you keep working one muscle and the other one gets left. So you're gonna every opportunity to engage with your reality is going to be left brain. So I apologise if that came over. But
no, it was an observation.
Yeah.
You have the view.
So but I remember when there was this time when you went, I still don't get it, and slowly you were still here saying it, so it kind of was getting something, right? But then there was this talk about pom-poms. Do you remember the pom-poms?
I do remember.
Of course you do. Oh, we don't have any. Sorry, we don't have any pom-poms.
In a glass cabinet now.
But I
do have them.
I bet they come out when you have a few people around and a few bottles of wine. Hey.
Well, let's see if they come out later in the year.
Yeah.
But I think what I understood about that is there was this level of self-expression that you would not.
No, let me finish that.
Oh,
the known be known treads into areas that I felt were bordering on the presenter being arrogant from the point of view of expecting a room full of people that you know pretty well and that generally do want to know more about you, that they are really going to be quite happy sitting listening to you for an hour and 15 minutes. It struck me as that it was a moderately arrogant assumption that somebody should want to do that. Plus the fact, you look around the room and you think, oh, Sarah's done this, interesting, an epiphany. Beju's reinvented himself for the third time in a year and a half. That guy amazes me. So, which is all of these people have something interesting, but then I don't necessarily see my journey as interesting. But then again, I don't know if other people with a degree of modesty see that their journey is interesting, and it is.
Yeah.
So I was coming from that point of view. Not that I was at all unhappy getting up public speaking. I've been doing that for long enough, and I remember the first time when I was 30 quaking in my boots delivering a technical paper that I'd written. And then I thought, no, I'll do that because it would just force me through a barrier. So I've got no problem speaking, but it was the fact that I was talking on me.
Yes.
Do you want to hear about me? You're watching.
Don't press stop yet. Okay. But the thing was, that's the thing, is it's that level of authenticity, and that level of engagement with a very warm audience on the whole, because most of the people in the room are members, and the others are either considering being part of the community or not, and that's fine.
But also, everybody's personal journey is different. And you're not just saying the words of I've done this and I've been here and I've done this and I've ticked that box. People aren't interested in that. They really don't.
No resume.
What they're after is finding out how you got to where you are now. There's probably 2 or maybe 3 incidents in your life that have created the person that we see in front of us, and that's how we get closer to the authentic Simon. And then from that space, and you go, so everyone kind of gets, now we know what makes his heart beat faster, what he loves doing, why he's passionate about it, the story, and all the stuff that you've kind of created in your past. And then it's taking that from there and going, so now in my day job, this is what I do, so let me share some of that. And then you gift them some of your knowledge so they can go, oh, I could use that, I'm going to take that away. So you've given them something of you that you're passionate about that they can actually, and it might just be an epiphany that you had when you were 25, and somebody in the audience go, I was like that. Now I've had that experience when Kay did her Know and Be Known, and she said something, and I was like, oh my God, that was me. Flip. And that was a massive revelation to me. And 3 days later, I was still, going round and round and round and round and round in my head about, so that's why that happened. Oh, and it was massive. But that to her was just my mum made all my clothes. And because I was too fat to go out and buy things at that stage. And I'm like, my mum made all my clothes for that same reason. I was like, oh my God. And so all of a sudden, you see yourself in a different light because of one thing somebody said. So your epiphanies that you get, 2 or 3 things in your life, will have impacted someone. And we know full well that Scott stood up and said the things that you have said have impacted him, and he's taken that on in his life and changed as a result of something that you said, which you probably thought was off the cuff.
Absolutely. That makes it all worthwhile. Know that you have actually given something.
It's massive, isn't it?
And it'd be nice, actually, if there was some mechanism by where people would say, you mentioned that, thank you. Because it doesn't always do it, because...
There is a mechanism. Did you know that?
Did you know that?
Here we go. How many times have we said this?
They don't pay attention to it. They don't listen.
They don't listen.
For your benefit, in the journal, everybody has a journal, and everyone takes it to every single meeting, or they should do. If they are clever, they will be doing that.
And if they don't, they get reprimanded.
But the point is on the back. What key learning breakthrough have you had? What insight have you had? What impact has it had? And who gave it to you?
Yes.
And then when you go, oh, Erkan gave me that impact. Oh, Jill gave me that one. Oh, Scott gave me that one. Oh, Beiju gave me that one. Oh, it was Erkan. It was Erkan. It was Erkan. It was Beiju. It was
Erkan. I like that, yeah.
So, well, hang on. Shouldn't I go and thank him for that?
Yeah.
So you've got that record of all these wonderful, tiny little things that when you note them down, which is part of the reason we
that
have
summary page at the back is probably the most powerful thing.
That's the only bit I had to do with the whole thing. When Jill started deciding to do a journal, I said, don't do a journal, don't do it. I actually tried to talk her out of it. And then when someone's doing something, oh, I want to be involved now. Can I add a bit? But that, I think that was a really important bit, because they're the things. Look, it's all important. It all adds up, doesn't it? Because it's a cumulative. It's a journal. It's not like which section. It's been, it's being captured.
Yeah.
And quite often we go through life and we don't acknowledge those things that make a difference. We don't acknowledge who. It's not just that someone made a difference to you, but you took that and made something of it. Because if you say something in a room of 30 people, they don't all do something with what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? You're honouring the person who did it because you did something with something they shared. And I think that's a very proactive, open, authentic way to be with each other.
I think Scott's Know and Be Known recast the die for future Know and Be Knowns in such a good way, because it said there's a lot more you can put on the table than what you think, and it didn't follow. Well, maybe it started along the guidelines, but it then went all of this. And
he laid himself bare, didn't he?
He did, and the fact that we call it the safe space. It does summarise that you are talking to like-minded people. If the room was full of visitors, I think I may have wound mine in a bit, and Scott may have wound his in a bit. I don't know.
If it was 50-50.
Yeah,
I imagine
we do have guests in the room, but not
you are not bearing your soul. You're talking about stuff that's in a lot of cases very personal to people who are strangers, and that will be very different to the people that you've actually built the bond with within BeCollaboration, because it's a different bond. compared to the other relationships I have in BNI.
I think in terms of self-development or developing oneself, I'd rather than use the word self-development, but as you develop, you may open up that level of authenticity in a group that feels safe, and then later on you can do it, as you get accustomed, you acclimatise to that level of authenticity, then you can do it with bigger, less familiar groups, because it's like taking the stabilisers off. You kind of start, I think, for me, what I see with a lot of people in front of the room, especially if they're not used to it, is a place to get started at a level maybe. Do you know what I mean? I
do, but there's stuff that I can talk about at BeCollaboration, and it just be here's an idea, go away and think about it, like Simon's audacious plan for world peace. If I do that at BNI, they go straight jacket.
But it's a bit like that song from The Greatest Showman, This Is Me. It comes a point where the bearded lady has said, I've had enough, and this is me, take it or leave it. And I think BeCollaboration is your playground. You try it out. And then when you go, this fits, this is me, then you take it everywhere, because you can't not be.
Yeah. You can safely experiment with it.
And that's why I love video in the Known Be Known, because if you look at Scott on video, like a year before his Known Be Known, that one, and then you look at the Scott that we have now, two different people. It's amazing. And the same with you, the stuff that you were doing, you were doing a 10-minute presentation at BNI is a totally different person than presenting a BeCollaboration meeting.
Actually, you haven't been in front of the room for a while, have you?
No.
He's been lined up, but it's been changed. So
it was later in the year, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, can we make a note?
He's on.
He is?
He's plugged in.
Just give me time to plan. I'll do that.
That's the other thing.
Well,
Because often you get in front of the room, right, and you'll have your iPad, and you'll right, so what I want to say is, and they're like, just put the thing down.
You're on this afternoon and bring your guitar.
Yeah, but that thing you'd have no problem.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So,
but that's a big thing, though, for you, in at least, is after you did that talk, you always used to have your iPad, and you said it's your comfort blanket. And then when we did the open space event, and different people were standing up, and we had Deb standing up at the front, like running to the front of the room to speak, although she previously hated it. You standing at the front of the room and look, I've got no iPad. And it was like all these people being like, wow, what's going on? All this should change, and it was so lovely.
Well, you know why? Because they changed the rules. Because originally there was going to be like a 10-minute presentation on it, and I was prepared for 10 minutes. So I haven't. If I'd priced it and just done bullet point, I could have expanded that or whatever. But I got the thing written longhand, hadn't I? So that had to go. So I had to freehand it or freestyle it.
Yeah. It felt good, didn't it?
Actually, at the end of the day, when I have freestyled it, it's been really, really good. It's what you get used to, I suppose. But the more I can put it down, you just come over with a lot more, as you said when you were doing your talk about talking to any group, be it networking or whatever. You pull it down and just deliver what you can say.
Because then you're coming from the heart.
Yeah, and if you've got if you want a bit of paper with 5 titles on it, just put you back on track if you get lost.
Yeah.
Which is why my comedians, if you watch them, they can just work and audit, and it's all queued up.
Come back.
And the time will come back in. They'll carry it. How do they do that? Their brain is very, very exercised.
I'll tell you how, because I've done stand-up. I'll tell you how they do it.
Really?
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So the thing is, the more I think it's not just stand-up comedians. It could be musicians. It could be anybody. When you're in front of people, there's nothing. They say the old thing, isn't it? The second to dying, people are afraid of is public speaking.
Yeah.
So, and I think that comes from a lot of our schooling and, putting your hand up and saying the wrong thing in front of everybody and ridicule and all that. I'm sure a lot of it's around that time. But
I hated that at school.
Yeah, but a lot of people did. A lot of kids didn't feel they thrived in front of other people because it wasn't, I don't know, it just didn't work out. For that.
If the school had taught a method of overcoming that, but the thing is, kids are kids, and that kids are nasty at times to each other.
Or you can get. I used to teach my kids when I was 8-year-olds. Usually Friday afternoon. It was a fun thing. They loved doing it. We had the magic bag, and they would go in and take a subject out, and they had a minute to talk on it.
Yeah.
And it's just and some of and when you first play that game, they're like, and it'd be a TV program or it'd be Homer Simpson or whatever it was. And, but by the end of it, all of them said something about what was on that bit, and the kids then had to guess what they were talking about. And
Brilliant.
Yeah, and they all were clamouring, even the ones that were scared.
I think you did those kids a power of good, because they would never go back to not being able to say something.
Yeah. Well, my girls are the same. They've been on stage. When they were 5, they had to do Lambda exams at school, and so we're in front of about 150 people. Nicola, at the age of 4.5, 5, is standing there reciting a poem, who the author is, who the poet is, and 6-verse poem. And I'm at the back of the room going, this is abuse, this is child abuse. Why am I putting my child through this? This is horrendous. I'm mad.
She's still suing you.
I'm mad. But both of them, I said, do you remember not being on stage? And they're like, no. So for them to stand up on stage is as natural as going to buy a pint of milk, because they don't remember not doing it. So at the time I thought it was a terrible thing to do, but now they are the most confident adults.
What's a Lambda exam?
Oh, London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art.
Okay, thank you.
Darling. I got my grade 4, I'm quite proud of that. Thanks Caroline if you ever watch this. She got me through it. But no, it is a skill, it's a soft skill that as time goes on and more people are like this, need those soft skills in order to be able to communicate effectively, to be able to learn to listen, to be able to learn to think properly, to put your point across, to be able to think quickly, to get it over at the right time.
Yeah.
Rather than planning and putting it out. So thinking on your feet and standing up at the front and, oh, Jill's giving me no notice. That's good. Just,
Because
embrace
the
it.
concern is, what are people going to think of me? Will I end up looking, will I end up coming out
Also,
out of this, or am I going to end up looking, like an idiot or something? That's the concern.
see the trust I put in you today?
But we know you're
I think I could lead.
You do know this goes unedited. It goes out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think the thing with that is practice. And I think the same when we talk about the Genius program. When I first started designing the Genius program, even calling it Discover Your Genius is like, well, who am I to talk about genius, and what qualifications have I got, and genius brings
qualifications have you got?
None. It was kind of climatising to the notion of what genius is and what part does it play in our lives, and being a stand for not only mine but that of other people. It took me a little while to acclimatise to it, and I think that's what BeColl allows us to do, is climatise to our authenticity, to our genius, to playing with a group of people again. Like that.
First of all, climatising to the word genius, because you're not saying, it's somebody with an IQ of over 150. It's not.
No.
It's the thing that makes the essence of that person excel.
Yes.
That's really nice.
As soon as you get that definition into your head and not the other one, then everyone's got something to offer.
Yeah, and if you go to the
and I say your program, it was helped people discover that, or they probably know it, but haven't qualified.
That's what it's discover, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it's kind of, because the premise is, it's already there. You're born that way, and it's just been things have got in the way of that.
No, it was quite an eye-opening day. Not because of what I picked up so much, though I definitely had value from it, but because of the massive impact it had on other people in the room. I thought, have I not heard something?
Left, right, analytical. What did I miss?
Some people were sort of absolutely floored. Oh my God, my life.
Yeah.
And these are thinking people that run businesses and all their faculties. They go, oh my God. So from that point of view, I thought, there's something to this, but it didn't happen to me. So I don't know if it glanced me or whatever.
There's another one.
No, I know.
Because I've done a redesign of it, and I've slickened it out a bit more and left more room for engagement with participants as well, because I think it's a very ambitious day, and so we need everyone's got to be pulling for it, to get that outcome.
To run it over 2 days though would I don't know who could maintain the pace, to be honest with you. You guys at the front, but actually there's so much going on.
The first one was
it's exhausting.
Yeah, I mean it's probably not even 10% of what I put into the first 2 days. The first one, there's probably not 10% in now all day.
No.
Because it was like a cathartic kind of 30, 40 years of, I've got, and I still left, loads of stuff out. But it was like, people didn't have a chance to breathe on that first one. It was like loads.
But the principle is still the same.
Yeah, the principle is the
same. And you've kind of matured into what do people really need from one day. And we just did it on Saturday. And, I say it publicly, you nailed it. It was really, really good. And it was something that... it was a lovely, good audience, and they were pulling for it.
Yeah.
But I think
the last one.
the Saturday just gone. So you created that space though. So although they were individuals, some knew a little bit about it and some knew nothing at all, you actually created the collaboration within the room in order for everyone to get something out of it at the end of the day.
Friday at the Hertford Club, the day before, I could see that the energies were being focused towards that. And this was like I'm going to bounce on this trampoline, then I'll be able to reach Saturday's trampoline, and then I'll be.
It was like that.
I could see you guys were stepping into something there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a stroke of genius on Gill's part to actually put education, media, and money on the board for discussion, because. If someone said to you, I went to a BeColl meeting, or what do they talk about? And you go, it's not your usual passing business cards around and doing 1 minute and and I've got again, I always say so, nothing against any of that stuff. Or it's important to be able to do those things, right? But it was kind of like we are always look at our world, don't we? But we don't really. It's easy to sit and just complain about it. And I think what I wanted within the Genius programme and what we're doing in BeColl is educating ourselves to understand causality. It's like, so you've got this thing out here, there's an outcome, how did it end up that way? Rather than dealing with the outcome, there's people living homeless in London. There's no point in going and giving them soup in the street. Obviously you have to do that to keep them alive. Let's build from here so we end up with a world where people aren't homeless. To me, that's the way I would deal with it. But what we tend to do in our culture is keep putting plasters on things and not actually dealing with the cause. Do you know what I mean?
But right at the top of what's controlling this came out for money, came out for media money and education. All of these things in all of those sheets that everybody put up on the boards was at some point the sticking point, or the thing that was blocking change was them. It was the unreachable government policy. It was or cumulatively a powerhouse or somebody who has influence that it's working for them, and their control is on over everything.
And I think we also have to. There is a them, obviously, but I don't see it as the bad guys. It's just the way it has occurred, and we now have to, as humanity, work out how we can even the score. It's not right the way that, how many people is it? 10 people, 6 people have got so much wealth for half the planet.
I think it's down. Well, the numbers are changing, but I think it's like 2 or 3 now. But it's like, say, 10 people have as much wealth as half the planet.
It was obscene when it was 64, and now it's even worse. So. But it's, I think if you were one of those 3, 5, 10, you would have gone down exactly the same route that they've gone down because you could. Who's to say? We don't know. We're not in that position. Would we have become, psychopathic in the tendencies? Or it's a big discussion. It's not worth it. But what I'm saying is,
it's a big discussion. It is worth
very
it,
big.
but it's probably too big for this. But
that's what I meant.
But I mean, you said psychopath. I'd say sociopath.
Sociopath,
maybe more than psychopath. But I think again, that's part of the left brain hijack. Is at a level we say. I think there is some things going on that are untoward. I think if because the way I always think of it is like this, right? If the 3 of us run education, I think within 6 months, life would be resolved. It wouldn't be run the way it's run. If we ran money, we wouldn't run it the way it's been run.
But that's us now, in our conditioning that we've had.
Yeah.
If we were in their position and had the conditioning they've had, we probably would go down the same route. It's like the story I was saying to Erkan.
Well, not probably. That's exactly what's happening, because it's the same blood. It's the same. I was going to use the word bloodlines, but I think there are bloodlines. But I think there's also, well, you just look at it and say, well, why you got Bushes running, on 2 occasions running America, and then they talk about Obama. Mrs. Obama coming back to run America, and then you got, they're all, they're all tied in. They're all in the same.
And that's why half of the Sorry Party are from
cabal.
Oxford, aren't they?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. So they're all the same stock.
But it's not them. It's just the way it's happened to be, and now we have to find a way of making sure that doesn't happen.
I disagree.
I know you do.
I vehemently disagree.
That's fine.
Because if you try to get an outsider up there,
no, you've got to steer. You've got to steer the whole ship.
It's got to start from a different perspective.
And things do change with public influence.
But I also think when we, as humanity, talk about them, as you were saying at the meeting, and we're going to blame them. The minute you blame someone over there, you're taking responsibility off of yourself. and everyone has to. We're all.
It was just more an observation that the system was run by not in different those things different thems.
Yeah.
But the system for the masses was influenced and run largely by a small minority who didn't necessarily have the ultimate best interest of everybody.
No. But
And I
we
think
all
that- I
have to
think
take
that
responsibility for it.
Really, I think you're right at a level. No, not right. I don't think you're right. I think I agree with you at a level. That's what I
Okay.
mean. So whether you're right or not, who knows, right? But I think going back to what we're identifying within the community is if there's something that isn't working for us, we will have to take a responsibility. But I think we also got from causality, we've got to look at what's producing that as an outcome. So, for example, we were talking about net neutrality. So your background is, well, your background is quite varied, right? But at the moment, you run a digital agency, you build websites and digital systems for people's businesses. But your experience is quite vast, right? But we were talking about net neutrality, and we were talking about, well, at the moment, you can publish anything, you can say anything. Well, I say it's being the free speech.
Absolutely. The
philosophy is being I don't know what the word for it is. It's being
eroded.
Eroded is a good word. I think it's worse than that. It's being stifled.
Mm.
So I'm quite aware of a lot of alternative news agencies and people putting out information, and their YouTube channels are getting shut down. You know, even without net neutrality disappearing, there's this whole load of what do they call it when you what's it called when you vet information?
Scrutinise?
No, there's another word for it.
Oh, yeah. It's a word I can never remember. When you moderate.
Censor.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, there's a certain level of censoring going on now. That is, or let's say even in not YouTube, in Facebook, for example, you'll find that you end up in an echo chamber of information. Mm-hmm. So you only even if you send something out, you find that you've sent something out and very few people react, because only the people that probably kind of get what you're saying are going to react to what you're saying, because everyone's not interested in that, won't get that information. Whether it's, hey, was at the track today, went to the theatre, because the algorithms kettle us in to small defined groups of information.
It's who's controlling those algorithms, I think.
Exactly.
And this is where I think all our children need to be aware of the influences there, because as you were saying with your parents and one newspaper, I can't remember, if it was in there, it was right, and that was absolute control. But now there's the ability for me to pick up my phone, and I can reach more than half the world's population. I don't know what the figure is, but you can reach more than half the world's population one-to-one or one-to-many through a newsgroup. Never has humanity had that reach and that power, and that puts an immensely valuable gem in the hands of the people. Now, them, in their various areas, aren't going to like that, because it means that there's the expression of free will. And never, I think, in humanity is there ever going to be an opportunity for Joe Public to have such a voice. So it will be absolutely criminal for net neutrality not to be enshrined in law in every country, but it goes totally against what the lawmakers actually want.
I think our work here is done. So I've got something to ask you, right?
Go on then.
Because I was thinking, before the podcast, about you, John, I think about the person who's come in, I think about my experience with them and the things they say and all that kind of stuff, right? And there's one thing that you seem to, I just had this couple who goes, you come to me and you go, I wasn't going to come today, but I'm so glad I did. It's like, you probably said it once, maybe twice. Right? It's like, to me, it's like, when you don't feel like going somewhere, or you feel like you got so much on, I'll give it a miss this, and then you go, and that's the very time it makes the biggest difference.
It's probably the time you should go. Actually.
Yeah.
When the world's not spinning your way, just let it do its thing and go into something different. So, that's why I made cupcakes last night.
Where are they?
They promised for the party tomorrow.
Oh, well, that's fair enough. So in your mind, when you kind of go, because I imagine it's about a 45-minute drive, 35-minute drive for you to get there, and you've got to get yourself to Hertford, for example. Do you go to Essex much?
Yes.
Oh, right, because obviously...
Hertford's prime one, Essex probably every
Is your
other
top
one,
up?
and London, just because it's a different. This is a different vibe.
Yeah, London is a different vibe. So in your mind, when you're kind of when it's that Friday and you come into Hertford, how does your day, how are you starting to, how do you fit it into your life? Because it is unreasonable in some ways to put half a day aside for you, as a month or whatever, have it you.
But it's great value because it takes you out of the zone where you are pragmatically driving your business forward, you're doing all that, or you're in the evenings, you're sorting family things out, family plans. This is very selfishly, it's actually me time. And there hasn't been one meeting where I haven't left with something valuable that I said, I'm going to go and do this. Even on my logical planner, I've got something, review BeCollaboration notes 2 days afterwards. So anything that I haven't immediately leapt on, it's got half an hour for me to go through those notes. Doesn't always happen because the world gets in the way, but the intention is there to actually take some of these ideas and try them out for myself.
Top tip.
That's a great tip. Actually schedule it in.
Yeah, because otherwise, you reverted back to pragmatic business guy. A pragmatic business guy that doesn't have a lot of time for woo-woo stuff.
But also, when you think about it, I always say to my clients, one guy came to me once, this was a few years ago, and I said, what do you want to come from the relationship? He said, well, I haven't had a holiday in 5 years. I would really love to be able to go on holiday, but I'm scared that every time I go away, I'm losing money. And he said he didn't go because he was scared about losing money. So I said, okay, let's get you a holiday. So within 9 months, he had 2 teams working for him, and he was sitting by the side of the pool in Tenerife, having a lovely time, sending me texts going, this is amazing.
And he's not worried.
He wasn't worried, but he was earning money while he was sitting by the pool. But the point is, when he came back, he was so reinvigorated. He was so keen because he'd had that downtime. He'd had that space to think about what he wanted to do with his business, what he wanted to do with his life, came back, got engaged to his girlfriend, all these kind of life decisions because you come away from the situation.
It's wood for trees. And it allows that stuff to come to the surface, and you then got you're privileged to have the time to address it. So you're right, those holidays are so important.
They're essential, but if you then equate BeCollaboration to half a day, and for some people it's less than half a day, if they leave the house at maybe 2 o'clock and it's finished by 6, it's it's just, that is quality.
That's called half a day.
Well, no, you can work 8 till 2, that's not bad. But you can get a lot in beforehand. But it's, so for example, Carol only has to walk across the road, doesn't she?
Carol's a 3-hour little bud.
Yeah, but that is me time. But again, if you're going to be getting some perspective on the rest of your life, not just your business, but you're going to be stepping back from who am I, what am I doing, what am I about, how can I improve myself, can I get transformed? That person said something that was amazing. That person I need to go and talk to. That person needs a website, whatever it happens to be.
It's such a rich environment, and if anybody who's on a personal improvement journey, which I think everybody should be, it's just a very fertile ground for actually having new ideas.
And what does your family and your wife how do they react to you going off to your BeColl cult? There you go, I said it.
The one that gave me the confidence.
They're just supportive. The kids go, yeah, fine. Denise, she's just immensely supportive of anything that makes me a better me. I know I'm pinching a bit of Angela there, but it's so opposite. It's the right thing. But it helps me be the best me I can be. And that's personal development. And BeColl just seems to actually give me a little something every time.
It's a top-up.
Even if it's something to sort of mentally, I'm going to champion that cause. Net neutrality, brothers.
I want to change the subject a bit. I want to go focus more on you. So you, where did you grow up? Where was home when you was growing up as a kid?
Chigwell. I was just thinking about that. It was a long time back. We moved from Chigwell.
Where were you born?
Wanstead.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit posh then.
Was that posh end? I grew up in Chigwell till I was 6, and then I think it was the day of the World Cup final, the one we won. We moved to Little Hanbury.
1966.
and largely grew up there. There's some horrendous pictures that are not shown of me in the choir, believe it or not.
Oh, I can imagine
Can't bother with the
that.
whole thing.
I see that, yeah.
I should carry the cross up these things.
You and Alan Brown both.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
No, that wouldn't have come out with a discussion with Alan, would it?
True.
No, me and him, that wouldn't come out.
Sorry, I'll interrupt. But what did Mum and Dad do back then? I mean, what were they? You know, what did you grow up around? Were they in business? Were they professional?
Dad's he was an export, he was a sales manager for a company that made heating components for laboratory heating apparatus, cooking vessels for tanks and especially heating stuff. And his managing director came in to the two of them and said, "Look, here's a card from France. Can somebody tell me what it says?" And the other guy couldn't. And Dad just, his schoolboy French said, "I hope you're having a great time." La 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 la. He said, "Fine, you're now export manager." He was flying. You know, when flying was almost a privilege thing.
Really?
You know, he had a certificate for flying across the date line because it was such a novel thing to do then. But that fueled a passion that I think was probably, he was in the army before that and had travelled, but that fueled his passion for travel, and Dad's a real people person. If he's imparted anything on me, it was just to value people.
Yeah.
And consequently, with that sort of ethos, that I think is brushed off on me, and it's something I've tried to impart to my kids. There's very much. He had friends all around the world, and family, and we had, when we were growing up. He lived on Long Island for a couple of years, so we had summer holidays on Long Island.
Wow,
which was rather good.
Didn't know that about you. Really?
And then when I was 14.
Wow.
And so they were good holidays. We took driving tours up the Adirondacks, up to upstate New York, and then into Canada, and things like that. They were good holidays.
Yeah.
He then came back to the UK with an agency for the whole of Europe, an American lab supply company. And we effectively established Dad effectively established their network across the whole of the UK, and we were given the UK as part of that arrangement. And that was then when I went into, after studying engineering, went into the family business. I've never done engineering since, to be honest with you. I've used it, but I've never been an engineer as such.
But is that the start of your, if you like, your technical development? Quite technical.
I studied mechanical aeronautical engineering. So if you want a gas turbine blade profiled, I could do the equations.
So glad you said that.
I just happen to have a couple.
Yeah. And in the training, in the outplacement, that I designed things like structural steel work for Kowloon Power Station and things like that.
Wow.
It's all really diverse stuff, but I absolutely hated doing drawings.
Oh really?
Oh no, it bored me silly.
So if we kind of, I know Dolly the sheep.
Oh, this is when a scientific instrument company, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about that, because I can't quite recall.
Well, I went in as technical director for the science. I held a number of positions, but the last one that I held for a long time was the technical directorship for this scientific instrument company, and it was largely a technical sale. But once in a while, things would pop up where we could do something like that. I was at the Genome Centre just south of Cambridge, talking to some of the lab people and about the equipment. I was trying to effectively find where we could sell them some stuff, and they go, "Well, we don't need anyone, but this thing that we bought just doesn't do what we want, and none of them do." So I said, "Well, what is it?" "Vacuum filtration." So, okay, fine. So what doesn't it do? And it didn't control adequately or something. I said, "Well, why don't we just re-engineer it?" And he goes, "Do it." And do it. We'll buy 100. So I thought, all right, fine. So we took it away. I had the whole thing re-engineered, and I put my idea into it, which made it better. And immediately we had a super product. Likewise, we had a product that, if you're in a hospital, you want to know that the instruments they're using are sterile.
Right.
Okay. So they've got massive sterilisers. They put trays and trays and trays of instruments in, and the protocol says that the sterilisers have to reach a certain temperature for a certain amount of time under a certain pressure. And if it doesn't, then there's no guarantee that that they've been sterilised. So therefore, the sterilisers have got to be validated. And we produced a piece of equipment that I designed or redesigned that took the temperature standard that's the National Physical Laboratory, or NAMAS as it is now. That's the temperature reference point for the UK, and our equipment was calibrated against that. We then built equipment that was calibrated against that and put one in every hospital in the UK.
Wow.
So therefore, when your surgeon slices you open and holds all these clamps and whatever on you, you know that the bugs have been killed because it's been checked by one of my bits of kit.
Oh, that's a good.
Well, that's how it was before I left that part of the business.
So how does Dolly fit into that?
Dolly was
Dolly the sheep,
first cloned sheep or first cloned mammal. I'm not quite.
I think that was the case, wasn't it? Officially the first.
We sold something called restriction endonucleases, which, as far if anybody from biotechnology,
I bet you when you go back and Google that, it doesn't actually.
It certainly does.
It's like a picture of someone going, gotcha.
You'll find it under recumbent DNA technologies. But there you go.
Write that down.
In layman's terms, it unwound the DNA spiral and took a segment out from a site. You knew exactly what segment it was taking out. And then once you've got a chunk of DNA, you know what it does, or it may be something you don't want, but you can then put another bit back in there.
Wow.
And then wind it all up and then put that DNA into a cell and then replicate the cell, and then you're replicating something that you built or engineered rather than something that naturally came together.
Scary,
I was just going to say
Very
that.
scary.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. You get all these sort of people up in arms against Monsanto because of Frankenstein crops and everything like that. Could it be? Yeah, it could be, because you're on the frontiers of something, of science, and you don't know what's around the corner when you start messing with something that's been in balance for thousands of years. Yeah. So you could upset you're moving on to climate change and everything. Yeah. At some point, there could be a tipping point, and then it will run away. No matter how much you try and ameliorate the issue, the damage is done because there's a system carrying it forward.
And then, and I guess a whole lot of mechanisms and cascade of things will start to happen that you can't control. And I think, looking around me, I see lots of evidence for that. Whether it's in food, GMOs, transhumanisation, this whole human biology mix at the moment, geoengineering, whatever. Because to me, I look up at the skies now, and I'm like, it didn't used to be like that. I don't remember that many lines going across and this kind of haze. And then this is where people kind of go, oh yeah, all right, whatever. But nobody's doing nobody's really looking and doing the research. They go, well, you're not. I said to people, have you done 21 hours of research on that one subject? No. So go do some research, because people, if you do the research, then you can have an informed view about it, right? I'm informed, but if you don't do any research, what have you really got? You haven't really got much to stand on, right? So that's the thing for me, say within the Be Inspired programme, it's all about trust your genius, do the research and work it out for yourself. Don't believe what anyone tells you. But I just feel very uneasy about, not just Dolly, because that was 20 years ago now, maybe more.
More than that.
20...
At least I think.
Yeah, I mean, and things are, what's the law of digital, Moore's law?
Are you talking reaching the singularity?
Yeah.
Or you're from a different tangent?
Well, ultimately it heads towards singularity, but it's Moore's law. It's like, computing is doubling every 18 months, year. But, so obviously what you think you can achieve in 1985 and what you can achieve in 2018 and what's going to be available in 5-10 years is going to be exponential, because it's that exponential development.
That's where the sinister side comes in, though.
But that's where the excitement comes as well.
Excitement,
Absolutely.
If we think that the corporations or the powers that be or the vested interests have our interests at heart, which they, in my opinion, they don't. I don't think they do.
No.
Well,
That's the thing. That's what worries me.
If you take Dolly and the cloning and the reasons why they clone, so they can cure disease supposedly, but it's
gene therapy is proven.
Yeah.
There's no supposition.
No, what I'm saying, no, I'm not saying that's not presumably. I'm saying that that's the reason they started doing it, because there's also the sinister side of it, isn't it? It's that, you know, all the horrible things that potentially could come out of, and as you say, nature being out of kilter. Where does it lead to? So you've kind of created something, but you don't know the end goal. You kind of created something because it's just going to sort that out. But what about all the other stuff? So you hear about. I'm just trying to think of some of the stories of. Is it China, someplace where they're talking about cloning, so you can choose the sex of your child, you can choose the colour of their eyes, you can choose, you know, all these
If you're given a gift, you've got to work out how to use it. And some people may need to be regulated as to what you can and can't do. It's internet comes along, a gift. You know, it's a child. It needs taming, and people need to be told how to use it. Not just from a point of view of it, profanities or bullying, cyberbullying or trolling or whatever, but from a point of view of the healthy use of it. So anything like that, you know, you don't let it accumulate. That's going to take over. But from the point of view of genetic manipulation, then you've got all your ethical committees on this, and then religion will have an input on it. And you know, you talk about, you know, the safe abortion. You know, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing that women have a choice? Yeah, you get such polarised, but there is actually no right or wrong, because we were given free will.
And therein lies the, you know.
So for some it's wrong, for some it's right.
Yeah, and I think free will is really important. I think where free will gets compromised is where I find it very uncomfortable. Because if we look at our news agencies in this country, right, or America or the Western world, it's down to like 5 companies now. You know, it's like, so you're getting a mass influence of information through the channel of very narrow band.
It comes back to something we were saying earlier. You know, we have to educate our children to know when they're being unduly influenced, and actually to have their own opinions before they open up a newspaper, so they can say,
"We've got to question it."
I like that. That seems fair. You know, I've got a good moral and compass on life and what is right. But the thing is, people have different vantage points on that anyway.
I'm done.
But we all know that shooting down airliners and cruelty and basic human rights stuff, everybody knows that that's wrong, and that's probably one uniting thing that we can start off.
I think when you get a group of individuals together and they start talking about these subjects, there's kind of like, I think we are, you know, in our own way, we're kind of very aligned as a species. Because I think there's one thing. Let's take AI for example, right? So this is one, right? So this is the I heard of the other day.
Artificial insemination.
Artificial intelligence.
It means 2 things.
AI, I mean, or alien intelligence. You know, there's the other one, or one other one. But there's this thing with driverless cars now. Because the algorithms have got to work certain things out, and this is where they're struggling. Not the car driving itself is. So we were talking about this the other day. There's this experiment, right? So here you are. You've got to make this decision, right? So there's a train coming along, right? And there's 6 people on the line, and the train is going to hit them and kill them, right? There's a lever on the side. If you pull it, instead of them 6 dying, this other guy will die. What do you do? Now, I don't have to answer this because this is live on record. Still there? Yeah. See what I mean? So, but if you start programming driverless cars, they're going to have to make those decisions. Yeah? So, generally what happens is people say, well, I pulled a lever and instead of 6 people dying, 1 guy dies. Yeah? And then kind of people feel kind of like, you know, awkward, but hey, you know, better for the greater good, right? Then they go, okay, right, they pan out a bit. Instead of, you've still got the 6 guys, and now you've got a bridge above the train, and instead of pulling the lever and killing this guy, there's a fat guy above, and all you have to do is push him over and he dies, instead of the other 6. What do you do?
It's a bit white fattest.
Yeah, exactly, exactly, right? Because then suddenly these biases are coming in. Now the thing with AI, it will, you know, calculatedly work out the answer and go boom. Whereas we're human beings, we kind of go, hold on a minute, what about if that guy was about to, I don't know, invent something that would, you know, enhance life, or he's a father of 3 kids?
If he was on the bridge, he was going to jump.
You're
helping him.
Yeah, was he pushed or did he jump? You know, but this is where I think our biggest advantage, our innate human empathy and wisdom, is really what we've got. Because if you look at the world, whether they're spraying the skies or whether GMO's evil or not evil, at some level you kind of go, so you've got to work it out for yourself. You've got to kind of go, see, I think it was also Bob Marley said technology is not evil, it's what we do with it. You know, or like the Force, use it for good, never for bad. It's like somewhere along the line, you know, we are known by our fruit, aren't we? You know, what are you doing with the internet? What are you doing with your money? What are you doing with your attention? And I think they're the kind of things that we're kind of touching on at BeCollaboration, because some of the conversations are philosophical ones. But what concerns me is that people on the mass scale aren't asking these questions and giving themselves time to really contemplate, like informed contemplation, and go, well, this is where I stand here.
I think some people aren't thinking beyond
Survival.
beyond that.
Yeah.
No, it's as simple as that. I don't think people's eyes are opened.
Well, we're too busy to think, haven't we? We're too busy answering emails and rushing around trying to earn money, and too busy buying stuff, and too busy Instagramming and things.
I Am Powerful goes through the various levels of enlightenment. And that's an interesting one that Claudia may want to bring back to BeCollaboration one day, because that was probably the best thing I took from one of her courses. And it then brought it into focus that if there are people at the lower levels of sort of just surviving, then they need to be shown the next level, because they're going to go, wow, there's so much to life for just opening up my eyes a little bit and not dwelling over this, but actually chasing that.
So imagine if BeCollaboration were across the UK and we had, how many members is it? 800 and...
Is that the tipping point?
37.
37, yeah.
37.
According to Andrew Horder,
837.
he'll tell you why.
Square root of 1%.
Going back to...
Root 1%?
Yeah, square root of 1% of the population is enough to tip
the consciousness. So going from Claudia's perspective, there are tiers of consciousness. So imagine if everyone within the community has the culture that we have, where we do question things and we are talking about supporting each other, and love is the centre of what we do, and we're discovering each other's genius, and we can tip the consciousness of the UK. How much good can we do as a unit, a collaborative unit, that we can then go out and spread the word? So that's always been my sort of reason for being within BeCollaboration is, you know, over here there's a load of wars and all sorts of things going on. Over here there's all consumerism and horrible, and you kind of individually, I can't do anything. What can I do? I'll go shopping. I'll go make myself feel better. But actually, if you've got enough people in BeCollaboration that are like you, that are going, this isn't right. It isn't right. What can we do? Collectively, we are empowered. We can do so much. We can get those people that haven't even thought about it, and we bring them onto the first rung of the ladder, and we get those people that are preaching about it, and we go, right, go to another country and start more BeCollaboration groups, and then all of a sudden we have the potential to get those 3 people that have all that money and go, wait, sort yourselves out.
But BeCollaboration is not a single voice on its own. There are plenty of other like-minded groups, I understand, that have a slightly different take on it, but generally they're heading in the same direction, are they not?
And God bless the internet, because that's how we're going to stay connected with those people. And that's how we have to do it, because we now have the power, where 100 years ago it was all, what's on the radio, let's listen to
I would have thought all of those groups are striving for the same kind of sort of propagation of that consciousness, they should link up.
They should collaborate.
They should collaborate. Indeed, they should.
Genius, that man. Genius.
Yeah.
Well, even if it's just a list of like-minded organisations, on our website, it will suggest to members, go out and explore them.
Yeah.
Well, we've already hooked up with the people who share. So Benita Matowska's, they have their annual week around the globe where people share, and it's just that simple philosophy of like, I've got stuff you don't have. You have some of mine.
Yeah.
And it's not difficult, but it's.
She has tremendous reach, doesn't she, on the internet, from what I understand.
Yeah, clever lady.
Yeah.
So it's those kind of organisations that we want to partner up with, and we're sharing the same hopes and dreams and ambition, really, to. And as I say, if you make a difference to one person, awesome. You make a difference to a group, better. If you make a difference out there, let's do it. So whilst we can come to BeCollaboration once a month and go, oh, it's my me time, it's great, it's lovely, and I've learnt this and I've learnt that. That's a win for us. But actually, it's let's.
Oh no, I've given back everything that I've had, not to the group, but to other people.
Yeah. I think there comes a point where when we've kind of identified it this way, it's like there's 3 layers. You get what you need, because we're all looking for something usually when we come into something new, and then you start to contribute back to the group, and then it's not about you anymore. It's about the impact you can have, as opposed to about what's in it for me and all that kind of requirement. Because I think obviously, if you look at the I don't like quite Maslow's hierarchy, but I am. But at a certain level, you've got to take care of your own, mind your own business and take care of your thing, become viable. And when you're in that space where you're not, it's hard to contribute. Like get your own mask on when the plane pressure drops. You've got to kind of put your mask on so you can be of value to others. And I think a lot of what I see in BeCollaboration, people sharing their best stuff and being in the room, is we're like, look at that sheet. There's an opportunity to gain lots of insight that's going to make a difference to your own performance. And I think that's really honourable, and it's really valuable part of the experience of being part of a community. Learning, contributing, growing.
And then to have that knowledge and not take it outside. I mean, as you say, you've paid it forward. Yes, brilliant.
I just, if you're a dad and whatever, if you see an opportunity or to actually make a better choice, not that, you can chip it in and go, look, you're at crossroads. Yeah. For me, every day's a crossroad, and I just wait for the big crossroads to come. You never see them coming. But for the kids and that, I chip things in from time to time. So, consider this thinking. Yeah, and I've got 40 years ahead of you, so take it on board or don't take it on board, but just listen to it.
That's different to our parents. I don't know about you, but my mum would always say, I've got 40 years on you, you should be listening to me. And you're like, yeah, whatever.
No, I'm frighteningly conscious that you're trotting out marketing speak, millennials, they think differently.
They do.
Thank goodness. And I'm just very conscious that what I did and do will be very different to what they didn't do, and because their motives are different. They're in a different kind of environment. They've got a different ethos and understanding of society. They are incredibly open towards things like multiculturalism and everything. We are a multicultural society. Yeah. I grew up in one that was struggling to understand what it was and largely getting it wrong. Now it is the norm. And my Victoria will say, I think, Dad, you're put on this world to be inappropriate at most times. And it's not, it's just because I have a sense of humour based in the 70s. And sometimes I need to rein it in, right, we've moved on.
That's a new time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing we've been saying recently about our members are pre-digital people. They're people that, we didn't grow up with the iPad and the iPhone and that immediate access to, huge amounts of information. Your imagination and your whim can take you anywhere instantly. We've never had that. I remember growing up. I remember getting a telly. I remember getting our first video. Cassette VHS thing, right? And then we remember the first DVDs, and then suddenly, we remember the first time these things happened. Look at my kids. They've turned up and it's all there.
I remember getting our first phone. That was so
cool. Do you remember? I remember the phone used to be in the hallway next to a
Yeah.
little thing you used to sit
It's
on to make a
freezing.
phone call.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
little pot to put your money in because you spent too long on the phone.
Is that what you said? My dad used to just moan about paying the bill.
Yeah, they used to as well. Yeah, but the millennials as well, the other thing that is different for them is they're used to change. It's change. That's their life is about. Oh, I've been in this job for 2 years now, I've got to move on. And they don't see change as like, oh no, I've got to change. In our age group, you thought you would have a job or a career and to be in it for 10, 20, 30 years. You ask a millennial now, do you want to be in that
But-
job in 10 years' time? They're like, no.
No. We were, I think our parents were programmed for stability.
Yes. Well, they
And stability
had to
meant
be because they've been through the war.
not too much change.
Yeah, because they'd had the biggest change you can possibly have when there was the fear of the invasion, and obviously in some quarters they experienced that because they were off in other countries and they knew what that fear felt like. No wonder they wanted stability. It must have been horrendous in the 50s.
But also,
I think it was the psyche of most Western nations. It was how it was done.
Rebuild
It was
and-
tradition.
but it's David Hall. If you look up David Hall's Futures, it says that the speed of change now has become constant. So everything's changing everywhere all the time, all at once. Medical advancements, technological, digital advancements. Society.
It's frighteningly exciting.
What-
I put those two
I
together.
like that.
Yeah, yeah.
One of the things I
Frightening.
like though is it's changing back to some of the ways it used to be. Have you seen those shops on Facebook where you go in and you take your own container and they give you buy the rice or the pasta or the potato, whatever it is that you need, you can go. And I'm like, well, they call these like repackaging, repurposing shops. I'm like, no, when I was a kid, they were called shops. Because that's what you used to do. You would go in with your egg box and you would buy 6 eggs and you put them in your egg box and if you had any spare egg boxes you'd give them to the shop so for other
That's
people
it.
to have
They
them.
recycled, didn't they?
Oh, but yeah.
Automatically.
Yeah.
Growing up, we'd go to Cyprus and Turkey, and you go to they call it the bakkal, it's the corner shop with all the because you go to the village shop, and they'd have bags of rice, bags of beans, and you'd buy your detergent in a big, you get that's how because. I guess also what the supermarkets have done is the more they package it and dice it and slice, because we'd laugh. You go and buy a packet of pistachios in Turkey and you get a bag that big, and you come in Tesco's and you get 5 in a bag for like double the price because that's
Well, it's
all
like,
margin.
again, even
And
today,
then that's what the consumer wants.
you get coriander in Cyprus and you get this big bunch, don't you? and you come back and in supermarkets in the UK, I was going to say a particular one, and it's a tiny little packet and it's like 3 times the price of what you get with. It just makes no sense, but it does make sense from their perspective.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense for us.
Well, that's I suppose why companies like Lidl and what's the other one, Aldi, will turn up and you can pay like I don't know 2/3 of what you. I don't. But it's like to me.
Costco's all buy in bulk, isn't it? As well.
Well, yeah, Costco's like I'd say Costco's slightly different. But what was it? Retail? We're taking something and then just decimating the value. Then we're told well, that's what the consumer wants.
Yeah, it's like
That's what you
newspapers.
wanted.
Yeah, you want bad news because you buy the newspapers.
You didn't want bendy carrots. Isn't there now a store now going you can buy bendy carrots and things like that?
Thank God for Jamie Oliver.
Yeah, it's made a big difference. Listen, we're kind of we've kind of done quite well, haven't we?
I believe so.
Anything you're burning to say or anything you didn't get to speak about? Because I know you made 3,000
No.
notes.
I've got some scribbling on there. Scribbling on the No, as I said to you, I had no agenda today, which is sort of largely to come along and go with the flow.
Yeah.
So I just treat every day as a crossroads because you never know what's going to come, and just have a completely open mind towards what does. I'm always on the lookout for some kind of any collaboration that's going to take me anywhere. It needn't have to be in business, though. A business collaborations would be great.
Yeah.
Because I've got a lot of resource to bring to the party. And other people have got great burning desires but don't know how to get it to market or to engineer it.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to go and do anything with music.
Yes.
Anything on water.
Because you're a musician, aren't you? You play the.
I've got some guitars and.
So you didn't say I'm a musician,
drums.
but you are a musician.
I'm a frustrated musician. I can read music and
your blues. You like blues, don't you?
Blues and finger style on the acoustic.
Yeah.
It's more fun than professional. No, it's not professional at all. We play once in a blue moon, and a few of us will get together. But it's it's my meditation. Because when you're doing that, you're
Got to concentrate on other things, yeah.
And just the blues progression. It's part of the soul. So it just takes you where you want to go.
I think you've got to line up a little session. You've got to bring that guitar in.
Yeah.
As Bruce Springsteen would say.
Or bring the boat in.
Bring the boat in.
Yeah.
So, we got any news? Any update news? We just done a Be Inspired this weekend, last weekend. Answer the question.
Okay. After you. I do have one more question for Simon.
Oh, you do? Well, let's do that. Let's finish that.
Thank you. Is that all right?
Yeah.
You sure you don't mind?
No, don't.
Anyway, Simon. No, while we've got you here, we have barely touched on your day job, your passion for Toucan Internet. So I think it's only fair to say, if you were to do a wonderful piece of work for someone, what would that look like, and how would that feel for you?
Blimey. The projects that we really love is when we totally get on the client's wavelength and the client gets on our wavelength, and we know what the end point is that we want to achieve. Once everyone's aligned as to what the outcomes are going to be, the journey can then be fun, because nobody's going, I thought you were doing that, we want this. No, that's the end point. It's going to be a new enterprise, it's going to have new branding, it's going to integrate with your accounts, it's going to be part of your marketing. Scott's in on one project with us, as part of the marketing journey on a company that said, they started from nothing. We don't even have a company name. Wow. So we due diligence on the name, the brand, research the market, and that's going to be a website and enterprise for selling educational toys and to primary schools, and having great sort of gnome houses designed in China. It's a totally different way of approaching the education, and the nuts and bolts of it is that it's a whole team delivery. All I do is pull great people together. All I do
coordinate.
I pull the right people together to put the project together, and if the client just says, "Oh, that's great," then I know we're pressing the right buttons. And the two that we're doing at the moment, we're just getting those good vibes all the time.
That's nice.
So that's what a project looks like. But I pulled the teams together. So you came in on one team with. I won't mention the name, but the lady that does the horse boxes, because she was ready for a change, didn't know how to focus herself to the business. So getting her aligned with herself meant that the business could then move forward. So sometimes we'll wind back to sort of mission statement or whatever, because until they know where they want to go, I can't get them there because they don't know where they're going.
No, absolutely.
And so many people will leap in and go, yeah, we'll do your website. But it's not a website. It's making certain that everything at the end of the day matches the expectations and the outcomes. And with the right collaborators on board, the end point is invariably a lot richer than the client ever imagines.
And is that something? Because obviously you were managing multi-skilled people well before you came to our community or to the community. But do you see collaboration as something that you really have? You've evolved your abilities around the art or the practice of collaboration.
I think every day you learn a little bit more about how to work with people. There's working as teams for a commercial end, but I would be very happy for some collaboration, for some more altruistic outcomes. Something that's not, something where I'm not paid for the hour, I'm not paid on the profitability of the project, but some bigger project, because I've got time within the scope of Toucan Internet to actually do some other things like that. We do little projects from time to time. We'll do a website for a church group or something like that. That's our way of sort of giving something back to the community. So I'm very much in line with Paul Baker's systemic win, and it's actually part of my mission statement that yeah, it's got to work for the client, it's got to work for us, and if we can make it work for the greater community, then everybody wins. And then also the greater community thinks, hey, we'll work with that company or that company that put it together. So it's self-propagating.
So if someone wants to get in touch with, it's Toucan, T-O-U...
toucanweb.co.uk, or if you prefer, blokeinshed.com. Simon at blokeinshed.com.
Really?
I have so many aliases, it's unbelievable.
I thought it was Toucan Towers.
Toucan Towers, yes. No, toucanweb.co.uk is the main mothership.
Brilliant, well done. That's lovely.
Okay.
Now you can talk about Inspire.
Have we got any other...
Any news?
Not really.
Our latest issue of the Quest is currently out. Go to the website BeCollaboration.com and look under Our Voice, and you will see podcasts such as this one, and you will see the Quest and all the issues. So the latest one around impact is up there, and we're currently working on collaboration in business issue, which will be out shortly, and lots of collaborators are already contributing around that, so that's exciting to see when it comes through.
Fantastic. Well, that leads me to say thank you, Simon. We've loved having you.
It's been a pleasure.
Lovely.
It has been a pleasure.
Fantastic.
Wonderful.
And let's not make it so long next time.
Yeah.
Jill, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us for today's JOP, and we look forward to catching up with you again soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.